Great.
Great. So let's get started. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this stream from at Pace. Today, I'm really excited to host a very senior professional who is with us. His name is Edwin Yeo. Give me a second to introduce him. It's going to take a bit more time because he's really seasoned. So Edwin comes with more than 2 decades of experience in leadership development and exec search. He's currently the global board chair of the APAC region, the regional head for the board practice for APAC, as well as the CEO and managing director for Cornerstone International. It's a huge, let's say, headhunting and leadership development firm. His experience is very broad. He's worked in general management, business development, sales, marketing, accounts, and he's serviced a number of different industries, including profit and non-profit. So currently, he's also the member of the board of Changing Minds, which is a not-for-profit community leadership organization. And he's also the member of the board of Global Cultural Alliance Limited, which is also a non-profit charity. His work spans a number of different countries, ASEAN, APAC, as well as international. So welcome, Edwin. It's a great pleasure to have you with us, and thank you for spending the time with the team today.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you for the kind words and very impressive introduction. I can't recognize myself.
You know, usually when you say that, it really means that you've done a lot, because if by the time I'm done talking, if my breath starts to swell, that means there's a lot to say about you. So welcome to the podcast. So let me start by maybe asking you a question around how you see the trends in the workplace today, given the vantage point from which you look at the industry and the job market and the talent market. Could you share with us how you see the work trends and the future of work evolving?
Great. Yes, I think we are at the crossroads of the trend for recruitment and executive search because given the past couple of years where there are a lot of people and businesses who have lost their way in a sense, where there has been a lot of retrenching, a lot of closing down and all that. We are now at the crossroads because we are going on the upswing post-pandemic, going into endemic, and you can see, you can read in reports online and in the press that there is this hiring spree taking place. So we are at the intersection where the balance of power has become is swinging towards the employees, the candidates, where there is a great need to beef up whatever skeleton that has been left behind from the pandemic so as to pick up the business where it was left off pre-pandemic. So you look at the various words and phrases that has been banding around, the great resignation, the great restructuring, the great retirement, and so on. And that's scary. That is really scary because nobody knows what's really going on, right? And there's a lot of jostling and trying to get things in order, both on the employer side as well as on the employee side. Of course, it is not broad-based. Some industries will be more active, will need more people. Some industries are still struggling. But as a whole, it's only a matter of degree that all industries are actually looking for talents now. And in the very near future, the pendulum will swing towards an employees market.
That's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that insight. And I know that there is a fair bit of pressure right now on companies because they're all trying to come out of this as fast as possible. and we see a lot more demand on talented individuals, including all the round robin that's happening, especially at the leadership level. So it must be a very difficult time for many companies to deal with. Could you talk a little bit about the two conflicting views that are coming into the marketplace? On one side, we are seeing this great demand for talent and that the companies are really wanting to move forward fast. On the other hand, we also hear the scary R word, the recession, the restructuring. Could you share how this is playing out, especially in Asia and these markets? Because the US seems to be in a different space.
Yes, certainly. We have to be mindful that whatever trends, whatever directions things are moving, in many instances, it is very cultural and geographically specific. What we read in the papers, and rightly so, is that we tend to see what's happening in the Western hemisphere. They tend to talk about things happening in their countries, in their culture, in their environment. They tend to do a lot of surveys. They tend to write a lot of reports. And we think whatever's happening, for example, in the US is what's happening here, but it's not true. It's really not true. It's very, very cultural specific. Yeah, I mean, the recession is coming. We all know that. Again, it's a matter of degree, right? Whether it will affect their economy more than our economy and so on and so forth. I would like to think, and this has been going on for many years, Asia Pacific is always the engine of growth. True. So the economy will always be dynamic relative to the ups and downs in the US, for example, because they really go through very high peaks and low troughs, whereas we are always going up and down, but not as bad. The cycle is not as bad. So we would, when I became a headhunter in 1999, I learned something from my first employer, very, very insightful gentleman. And he taught us this: when you approach a client and you say, when times are good, you need good people. When times are bad, you need even better ones.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is so powerful. Well, I think you're so astute to note that we are, especially in Singapore, we are at the confluence of three huge growth markets. So we've got the China engine, we've got the Indonesian engine, and we've got the South Asian engine. So those three huge pillars of growth and the way that the companies want to approach these markets plays a very key part in being able to anchor the talents in Singapore and around in ASEAN. Yes. What kind of specific trends are you seeing in ASEAN or in Indonesia, or even for that matter in India, that might be relevant to our audience?
Yes, for the China, Indonesia, Southeast Asia dynamics, I would start with China. China is still very insulated. China is China. If you plonk yourself in China and do the Chinese business, you are in a big hole. You have no time, no energy, no attention to look at anything outside of China because it just absorbs you. Yeah. So this is played out in the recent 5-6 years when you see a lot of Asia Pacific offices of MNCs leave China. 15, 20 years ago, everybody was setting up their Asia Pacific office in Shanghai.
True.
But after 10 years, they realized once you are caught up in the Chinese story, those people in China, sitting in China, can't do anything else. So the trend has been the last 5-6 years, Asia Pacific offices have shifted out of China and once again based in Singapore, sometimes in KL. And these officers will become APAC officers ex-China. And if you remember, many years ago, it used to be APAC officers ex-Japan.
That is true. That is true. I remember those days as well.
Yes.
It tells us how old we are, right?
Yes,
But
yes,
that's the benefit of having lived through some of the peaks and troughs, right? And the
that's right.
transformations. Yeah.
Yes, so that's China. If you talk about Indonesia, Indonesia is an economy of its own, very healthy. For many years, they have been doing relatively well compared to the rest of the ASEAN nations. And you look at Indonesia, they are really pushing the envelope. A lot of unicorns come out from there, the big names and all that. So they are good in that sense, and they are a force to be reckoned with. And that's good because as part of ASEAN, as part of Southeast Asia countries, we are really driving the engine. And this is again evidenced by more and more Western economy countries setting up here. And they are looking at us. They know they have to come here. I mean, I'll give a recent example. There was this big industrial company setting up in Singapore, and they have 30% of the global market. 30%, number one. Yeah, their next competitor is only 6%. And then they say, oh, we are going to set up a regional head office in Singapore taking care of emerging markets. And to them, emerging markets is Middle East, Asia Pac, and one more. So I said, what have you been doing?
Yeah.
Where have you been? And so to build on that, a lot of this, and this is not the first example. There have been a few, and they say you are already late to the party, but it is never too late. So so the Southeast Asian nations, the ASEANs, the Indonesias, and all that, we are actually again driving the economy in this area. And it's going to be very healthy. It's going to be very, very healthy. And if you include India, there is an explosion of the opportunities within these markets.
For sure. One question which I now want to turn the conversation a bit towards from the industry side to the individuals who are listening in. So upskilling is probably one of the key things that you are seeing in terms of people wanting different skill sets. What kind of skill sets are in very high demand based on the kind of searches that you are partnering?
Yes, I would like to talk about two things, but of course, the first one is about the skill sets, the hard skills, what you can attain through education, on-the-job training and all that. The obvious ones would be digitalization, everything tech, fintech, medtech, martech, everything. So that is where everyone is going. But we have to understand one thing, and I said this many years ago, the tech part, tech is an enabler. It's not an industry. You must understand that. So if you are in the tech world, you are an enabler. And if you are a good enabler, then you will succeed and you will thrive. So if you look into those areas, the tech part, it is really flying. It will go up. And of course, the other areas will be the perennial sunshine areas. For example, health, finance. These are very obvious. It will always be there. You need those things, right? However, one more thing that is very important, which undergirds all this, is the acquisition of soft skills. Not only hard skills. Hard skills, after a while, 10 years down the road, the tech part will be passé. It will plateau. It will be something else, right?
True.
But the soft skills that you need to acquire to ensure employability, not only being employed, but being employable. And I always like to give the example that, okay, so what do you do? So my little phrase is that you have to do something the robots can't do. You have to be better than the robot. You have to go ahead of the robot. And some of the things that the robot can't do, and I always advocate this, is things like creativity, judgment, and empathy. So these three things will put you ahead of the robot at any point in time, because the robot has no creativity, the robot has no judgment, and the robot has no empathy. So as a leader, if you have these three foundational facets in your soft skill, or if you don't have, you have to develop them, then you will always be ahead. And it's not only to go against the robot, but it separates the man from the boys, the great from the good.
Absolutely. I think that is so true that a lot of us tend to focus on, and rightly so in the early parts of our career, on the technical skills. But as we move forward in our lives, we tend to realize that the technical skills are foundational, but now the leverage skills are really the soft skills. How do you connect the systems? How do you make people work? How can you understand people and the business objectives? I think these things, like you rightly said, will put you ahead of that game. What advice do you have for the PMETs, as well as the young professionals who are coming in, on what they should be doing in terms of upskilling?
Again, I would like to dwell on more the soft skill. But before that, I think in terms of hard skilling, upskilling, at the end of the day, I will go back to the principle of doing what you are good at. Know yourself, right? And I have this model that I used to speak about, the 3 B's. B for boy.
Yeah.
So you look at what you are born with, your character, your personality traits. The second B is what you are bred on, B-R-E-D, what you have been trained on, what you have been educated with, your experience, and so on. And the third one is bliss, B-L-I-S-S, what you are happy doing. And where the 3 B's overlap, that is your sweet spot of what you should do and you are happiest doing. And so that you make it into a model, and I'll be happy to talk about it another time. And once you reach that stage, then you will find a passion in what you're doing. But coming back, what would be good for upskilling? I think it's a mindset. The mindset is you have to be curious. Things are changing all the time. You cannot just be a frog in a well and just do what you've been doing for the past 20 years. Like me, I cannot do what I've been doing. You have to be curious. You have to explore. You have to, for one of a better cliche, think outside the box. So the curiosity is important because that will allow you to change. That will allow you to adapt. That will allow you to pursue whatever is the next step.
I think, first of all, I want to go back to your triple B model. It's a fantastic way to sum up the 3 things. You have something which is innate, which you're born with. You have something that you have trained on, or you have learned along the way. And then there is something which is truly about where your passion is, right? So the 3 things are putting together, comes to that sweet intersect, which will give you happiness, as well as that's the purpose that you want to drive towards. I want to take that one step ahead and talk about the piece around curiosity and comfort. So you very rightly point out that we have to be curious. A lot of us, though, have an inherent sense of anxiety because of the degree to which things are changing. Right. So as we try and move one step forward, there's always something new. You wake up in the morning and you are hit with a number of different things. What kind of advice do you have on people trying to move out of their comfort zone? Because that anxiety can really pull you down. So that headspace that you need to have to be patient. What advice can you give all the professionals who are heading out on a change journey?
Sure. The most comfortable advice I can give is take it one step at a time. And don't stop. I remember being in a recent seminar, and it was talking about this was in late last year, looking ahead into 2022. And unfortunately, the other couple of speakers were all doom and gloom. So as we can expect after 1 year of COVID, but they didn't know that there'll be another year. So my point was keep moving, don't stop. Take it one step at a time. And I think it was Confucius who said, it doesn't matter how slow you are going as long as you don't stop. Yeah. So the advice is wake up in the morning, take it one step at a time. Don't stress yourself. You know, it's not the end of the world. And another phrase that always comes to my mind is, even if you fail, you know, success is never final and failure is never fatal.
True.
So you just move on and you will make it. You will make it.
So I think you're so right about the fact that the resilience portion in this journey is so crucial.
Yes.
It's like they say, it's not about what you have failed at, but what have you learned out of it.
Yes.
And so till the time you can treat that as a learning experience and you can take that one more step forward, even though you may not feel that you're making a lot of progress, I think each step counts. And that's what the key message that you're leaving us with. So thank you for this fantastic sharing. I'm very grateful for your insights on the talent market and your advice for the professionals who are going through a transition. It's a great pleasure, and I look forward to welcoming you back again soon.
Thank you for the invite, Ravi, and it's a great pleasure for me too.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yes.